Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grief Recovery. This is class 4. I may or may not end up with onboarders today, but I am still going to teach the class. So I'm going to do it just the recording and myself today. And if others attend, great. If not, I know that you will get the recordings afterwards for those who are onboarded in the system in the course. So today's session is in regards to sometimes others are ill prepared to help us with and deal with loss. So, as everyone knows, I've been using a book that called The Grief Recovery as a sort of template guide to begin, but due to my own personal experiences with many years of loss of different things, I have a lot of experience in regards to learning how to transmute and begin life again. So, as we were going before with the last time we all met up, I want to go ahead and start with a little bit of a recap. And the recap was about misconceptions or well-intended phrases, things that have been said to us from others that they think is good with good intentions, but it's not actually a good intention. Things like, I know how you feel. When we hear those words, when we're dealing with a loss, how do they really know? So some of the other misinformation and pieces that are done, said, and used because of deflection in regards to people don't know how to deal with it, so they got to deflect it, is saying things being said like, we're being told, oh, don't feel bad. These things happen. It's okay. You can replace the loss. Say you lost your puppy or your cat, and everyone says, it's okay, get another one. It doesn't work. It's not the same one. Grieving alone generally doesn't help us. It just makes us worse. Just give it some time. We never know how long we're going to carry the grief that we have. Be strong for others. So say we have little ones in the house and we're supposed to be strong. Stand up, keep going, keeping busy. Things that we should do instead. So when we're being told, don't feel bad, we should be accepting our feelings as they are, honoring ourselves in each feeling, meaning we should sit with it, whatever that looks like for us. When we're told to replace the loss, while acknowledging the fact that nothing will ever take place or replace. As I have an onboarder now, I'm going to go ahead and recap a little bit just to bring her up to speed. There we go, Miss Carol. Are you wanting to come in on 2 different devices, Carol, or just one?
Just one. I don't know. My crazy thing does it twice.
Oh, okay. I was just checking.
So whatever you can do, I don't know. Because I'm really not tech savvy.
That's what. That's okay.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm late.
No sorries necessary. Sorry, not sorry. That's what you need to say. Sorry, not sorry. So it's just you and I already started a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and recap and just come back to what I was doing because I was just going to record it. No one was here.
Oh, okay.
But, so that you could have it because today's class day. I was literally going back over and looking at some of the well-intended phrases that we hear. So some of the stuff we were talking about from last week, And what we talked, were regrouping on during the week when we had group, we were talking about some of these phrases like being told, don't feel bad, and replace the loss, grieve alone, just give it time, be strong for others, and keeping busy. Those six misinformation pieces that are done, said, and used because of deflection from actual process of healing. This is something that we have seen countless times in our life over and over again when it comes down to people dealing with loss of those that
Right.
we love, pets, jobs, our health, and everything else in between. So I sat with it and I did some real soul seeking and searching this last week in regards to some real, actual tools that we can start applying to these places when people come along and say these things to us. So when we're being told, don't feel bad, one of the things I realized is what we should do instead is accept our feelings as they are, to honor ourselves in each feeling, meaning to sit with it, whatever that looks like to us.
Uh-huh.
When we hear replace the loss, well, acknowledging the fact that no matter how well intended that phrase was, we know we cannot replace. So nothing will ever replace what we had. So coming to accepting the loss and allowing for something new to be developed in our life. So we need to begin creating new ideas and new experiences for ourselves out of this. How does it feel to live without now? And how do we begin living a life that we want to live without what we had? Giving ourselves permission. Never, the phrase grieve alone, we just need to give them some time and they'll get over it. How many times have we all heard that? It's okay.
And said it.
You know, that is
Yeah.
something that we've all heard. It's okay. Just give them time. Well, it's not really about giving them time. It's about finding a safe place so we can talk. The stories are really important. The next part is just this: be strong for others. I realized this week that no one can deem the time on what may or may not, be for the situation. So, oh, I'm sorry, that one goes with I messed up on my own notes here. Sorry. So, being told, I'm going to recap this. Being told, don't feel bad. That one here, literally accepting our feelings as they are. Honor ourselves in each of our feelings, meaning to sit with it, whatever it looks like. Replacing the loss. Nothing will ever replace what we had. So accept the loss and allow for something new to be developed in our life. The one that is in regards to grieving alone, talk about it. Find a safe place where you know that you can express what's going on, like the grief recovery course that you're in right now, and being able to tune in during the week to have group with others so everyone is sharing their personal story.
Yeah.
The next part is just give it some time. That place there, no one can deem the time on grief. It may be quick, it may be lifelong. For yourself,
Mhm.
Carol, knowing a little bit about your story, your husband, who's now passed on, that was a lifetime. That was a
Right.
long lifetime. So
Right.
this
Yes.
this isn't something that's just gonna go away.
For sure.
You were so used to having an extension of you. So having that extension, when that extension's gone, you realize the workload's twice as hard as it used to be. You realize that life just isn't the same anymore. There's an
Yeah.
emptiness where it once was so full of life.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's sure true.
Being strong for others. This is another misconception. When we're looking at expressing our truth will assist others around us with being able to know where we are in our grief process. So stay connected, talk often, share your details. Those we lost are important and they continue to live through our own stories. And finally, the one we had was keeping busy. I really believe that what we need to do instead of being busy, where we end up having this overall catastrophe because we've allowed it to pile up until we can't take it anymore and it comes back and hits us so hard. Instead, we need to sit with ourselves and rest when we need to and respect our mind, our body, and our soul as we're going through this process. Each day it's going to look different. And there are going to be different things that are going to trigger us along the way. Another misconception that I have found over and over in grief is, I know how you feel. No one knows really how each of us really feel. We only understand out of our own perception. So if my
Mhm.
perspective and my perception of something, of loss, is one way, it's the only way that I'm going to be able to process. However, if I'm choosing to go to someone in my family who's never experienced any loss, and I'm talking to them, it's going to overwhelm them because they've never had it. They don't know how to perceive it. They don't know how to receive the pain that we're actually speaking of. The pain bodies of our loss is what we're trying to talk out. So we've got to remember that to know how you feel, this is a misconception. I can share my story and you can share your story, but none of us will have the exact same feelings. Each will process their own in their own unique way. The situations and circumstances are different for each person. For an example, say you and I literally lost the same person.
Uh-huh.
In that same position, I happen to have an absolute wonderful relationship with that individual. But for whatever reason, you did not. This happens a lot in dynamics of like family relations. It's a brother or a sister or a mother or a father that passed away, and siblings could be in a position where one sibling completely feels total disgust and anger with that person because they didn't get what they needed out of it. They weren't able to resolve their problems. So they're going to be in one space and be very angry over the loss. Well, the other person had a great relationship with them and is feeling so much sadness and loss, and they're trying to talk to the other and they're not being able to meet in the middle. This happens quite often when it comes to family dynamics of losing someone. So if I had a great relationship and someone else didn't with that same person, then the loss would affect each one of us differently. Recovery means discovering and completing what is unfinished for us in each of our stories. So if I thought that I was going to have a person in my life for the rest of my life, and then they're no longer there, what am I going to do with that? I have to rediscover myself and write a new story. And that may feel too overwhelming and too daunting of a process. So I have to stop and begin honoring myself first so I can begin figuring out how to discover what I may want to do instead. Tuning into myself in the here and now is the most important part of anything that we can do, especially when dealing with grief. Do you have any questions yet, Carol?
No, I just can't stop thinking of Lorraine's loss. Like she's a very emotional girl. Well, she's not a girl anymore, but
She's your little girl still.
she is. And she really, really has had a hard time of it. And I can remember telling her, give it time. And thinking, yeah, give it time, all right. All the time in the world is not going to make a difference because he's gone.
Exactly.
But I think she's adapting. She, like I said, she's a very emotional person. So many things trigger her. And I don't know how she developed that in some ways and not in others, but whatever. She is who she is. And we differed in I guess, in our feelings about the loss. But I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
See,
She's,
that's where I was talking about. The dynamics were different. For you,
yeah,
your husband was absolutely amazing for you.
yeah,
And for Lorraine, in her beginnings with her dad, they had a lot of rifts and a lot of fighting because they were so much alike.
yeah,
They couldn't always see eye to eye because they were both trying to one up the other.
that's right.
So because of those dynamics, it created a lot more tension for a long time. And then in the end, as he was passing, she was able to begin getting what she needed more than anything,
Yeah,
a feeling of acceptance from the
yes,
one person she wanted the acceptance from the most. That's
yes,
why it was so emotional for her, because
yeah,
she spent so many years. He accepted her, he loved her, but she didn't see it for a
right,
very long time.
right.
Kept her own story that kept her separate from that. But taking the steps that she was able to learn when she was going through the course of the art of learning self love with me, she was able to take those things and implement them and actually begin creating a new storyline with her father that was allowing her to give herself what she needed most so that she could accept what was happening. That was a very challenging space to be in for her.
It was. And she really came to my assistance. Like I was not able to do all of it. And for her to step in and say, I'm going to help, I guess was her way of saying, I'm here. You need me now. That
Her
sort of
acts of
thing.
service, Carol, is her affection and love.
Yeah,
That is truly how she gives love. She'll give gifts, she'll give time, she loves quality time.
yeah,
Those inner dynamics is what fuels her and gives her power for herself as well as those around her. So I know that that's a lot, and the loss between the two of you guys, that, here's the one party and the two different dynamics of that story. For you, he was absolutely perfect for you.
well, I wouldn't go that far.
But you loved him unconditionally. You did.
Unconditionally for such a long time. And uh, for me, I think I am more accepting of situations, and I kind of back down if things don't go perfectly in my ideas of thinking.
Hmm.
And she's certainly not like that at all. As you well know, she's very determined to get her ideas across, and she doesn't back down.
She is your
She doesn't,
strong-willed child.
she is,
That is a
and
strong-willed child right there, to her
she
core.
always has been. Even as a young child,
I
she
bet
always,
when she was little, she had to pour her own cup of milk and it went everywhere. I bet she had to make her own sandwiches, even though it was not a clean space. It was just an utter
yeah,
mess.
yes, for sure. She's got determination, and that'll never leave her.
No, it won't. And anything that tries to take that away is probably where they meet up with so much opposition, it's probably unbearing.
Yes, yes.
But
But I must say, she and her sister have really taken up the challenge with me, I'll say. I never would have guessed she would be, she complains, but she's there to help. And I'm so grateful to both of them.
that's the part, you know that there's love.
Yeah,
Even if you two can't meet in the middle on the same page and see life the same way,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know there's ultimate love there. To step in and make yourself uncomfortable to meet the needs of another human being,
yeah.
even outside of your own comfort, you know
Even
that that is
now,
true
she
love.
but she tries to still rule me. She tells me to do this and do that, and it just uh,
So what we need to do, Carol, in that then is we need to find a way to fortify you so that you're confident in what you are able to deliver. And remember that regardless, it is her responsibility to feel her feelings. Even
yeah,
if it's uncomfortable, she has to go feel them regardless. And
yeah,
getting you to a place where you can state, no, this is what I need for me, that's
right.
just as acceptable. And she has
That
to
that
begin learning how to accept that others have to have that too. But that is definitely a different class altogether. That is definitely a different class altogether.
but it's still so hard. The other day, she decided she was going to clean my counter and wash everything on it, and she said, how about if I arrange it the right way? I said, no, you arrange it the way I have it. Well, there was an argument, and I said, look, I have to live here, not you. I want it to work for me, not you. So she
Right.
relentlessly gave in and said, okay, Mom.
I'm
Like,
proud of you, Carol, because that is hard sometimes when we're allowing others in our life to assist us. Sometimes that is very hard to speak our truth. And that is
right,
something I really want you to keep doing, speaking your
this,
truth, because then you will set the boundaries of your own space. And that's what you're
right.
creating now. You're now creating a new dynamic for yourself and creating the appropriate boundaries for yourself in your own home. And I'm really proud of you because that is a hard place to navigate, Carol. I'm really proud of
It
you.
is. It always has been, Darla, with her. Because they're so different, those girls.
Yeah.
Uh, Jan is so laid back, nothing bothers her. And I don't know where I got that child from because she is marvelous. She has dealt with so much in her life. And I'm thinking of her youngest that has was born with cancer.
Yes.
That is such a devastating thing to have to go through. And I know Lorraine has said to her, several times, I don't know how you do it. And she said, well, who else
This is the
will if
neat,
I don't?
this is the
And
neat part, Carol, in regards to what you're saying right there, is the dynamics of how people internally deal with different circumstances and how each
yeah,
one is so unique to their own story. We all have a purpose. We all have a process, each and every single one of us. And sometimes we figure it out and sometimes we don't as we're going
yeah,
through life. What the one thing I have learned over and over and what I teach is that we all have a unique story on purpose because everything that we deal with as we deal with them and as we process them is literally what comes back up into that space with Christ or with the ascended masters or the universe or whatever anybody wants to call it. So I leave it very open because I work with people from all diversities. I don't
yeah,
leave it just in one religious aspect because people come from different walks in the world
yeah.
and everyone has an equal right to healing and restoration. So I won't label it down to one specific religion, but ultimately, what I can honestly say is that we all have a unique purpose to be in this place today. We're all here on time every time. Regardless of the situations and the circumstances around us, we're actually either part of the experience for someone else or the experience is happening for us. And it's there for lessons and discovery so that we can actually continue learning so that ultimately it helps everyone around the world. Because when that
Uh-huh.
message comes back and we return to wherever we come from, whatever that space is, if we go to heaven or if we end up in hell or if we go to the great abyss or if we go back into a recreation or whatever that looks like for each individual. Basically, we're all here on this timeline for a reason. We're here to learn stuff and take the knowledge back so that it gets trickled out into everything collectively because we're all connected in some form or some fashion.
Right. Yes, we are.
And what's interesting is in any given circle, if I take 10 individuals around me, I bet you at any given moment within the next 10 from each one of them, I'm going to find other people in their network that I know from a different place
Uh-huh.
because everyone is interly connected.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so we're all here just learning lessons and taking those lessons back so that we can all have a piece of that and understand. Now, when it comes down to grieving, when you're going through something, what I want to ask you, Carol, is how often do you give yourself permission to feel your own feelings?
I feel them every day.
Do you really sit with them or do you try to get rid of them?
Well, I try to think of why I'm feeling them and what the outcome will be, but
Perfect.
I I don't think you could ever get rid of them.
Right. You
You
can
just have,
settle them, you can soothe them, you can get through them, but you will always have your memories. Those don't
right.
go away. Unless you get amnesia, they don't go away.
Or dementia.
Right. And
And I
it's not
have to
really that you
laugh.
forget them, you're now going backwards through a timeline and living different points of your life once you get dementia.
Yeah, yeah. I know my mother suffered from it for near the end, but just near the end. So it wasn't that bad.
That's so
And I'm hoping that I don't get there. I mean, I forget things. We all forget things.
right.
I have problems with names. I can remember everything else, but names bother me. but whatever. And certain words seem to escape me. But I have so much going on in my head that I guess I wonder, it's no wonder. But anyway,
So
um,
most of us have been taught over and over again that there are certain phrases that we've heard throughout life that, and I want to see how many of these relate to you, Carol, because I know I've heard a lot of them. So some of the things that we have heard when it comes down to dealing with situations and circumstances in our life is like, oh, just stuff that away, deal with it later, put it away, get a hold of ourselves. You can't fall apart right now, pull it back together, or pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Have you heard any of those phrases?
oh yes, for
So I want to
sure.
take us through in here on a subject about they're afraid of our feelings. Very early on, society teaches us that we have sad, painful, or negative feelings, and showing them are somehow not appropriate. It starts with an admonition, admonition, yeah, admonition. There we go. Big boys and girls don't cry.
Right.
One can actually hear parents say, "Stop that crying, or I'll give you a reason to cry."
Yes.
Now, we don't want you to get the idea that parents are insensitive because that isn't true. They only pass on their children what they were taught. When they were taught was that sad, painful, or negative feelings and showing them are not acceptable in our society. Crybaby can be heard resounding around preschool playgrounds. This is proof the lessons have already been learned by the age of 4 and 5. A small sample of statements heard on a daily basis illustrates the fear that others have when we show feelings. Get a hold of yourself. You can't fall apart. Keep a stiff upper lip. Pull yourself back together or pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. As a society, we're uncomfortable when confronted by the displays of painful emotion. This all perpetuates a fear of showing the normal feelings that result from emotional loss. They try to change the subject. How many times have you had a friend who said, "How are you doing?" And you said, "I'm brokenhearted. I miss them so much." And the friend retaliates or states back, "Don't feel bad. They're no longer in pain."
Yeah.
But it doesn't
that-
mean that it takes away the pain
That's right.
that we feel
For
from not
sure.
having a
Yes.
place to deposit the love we still have for them.
Yeah.
That is
See
what
that?
that feeling inside is. It is a surplus of love that we have that we want to deliver, but there's no place for it to go.
Yes, and that still resonates with me because I feel like I should have to do for others still, especially with my baking and stuff like that, and making treats. And Jan says to me, "Mom, why do you do this?" Well, it's something that I've always done, and it's hard to stop. It's hard to draw back and just live in my own skin. I have to reach out to others, and this is how I do it.
Right? So making things and gift giving for you is one of your languages of sharing with others.
Yes,
And that's perfectly fine. Now,
yeah,
what is
yeah.
it that you need in return? Do you know what your love languages are?
Well, the thing is that I'm being alone right now. I really appreciate when they come over for a visit, no matter if it's 5 minutes or an hour. You know, it fills the time. It makes me think of other things other than myself.
Right.
And I think that's what bothers me most is that I have to concentrate on me so much. I have to make sure I take my medications. I have to do my insulin, so I have to eat. I have to do this and that. And
Right.
so it like I said, it fills the time and takes my mind off of me when you can talk with others and know what's going on in their life. And yeah, so
So you
anyway,
like quality time.
yeah,
For you to feel loved is when others come in and share time with you, even if it's just making something with you, or sitting and watching a program with you, or playing a
yeah,
game with you. That for
right,
you is very, very essential and makes you feel like you are loved.
right.
But gift giving is the way, or making stuff and gifting that to someone is the way you express your love.
Uh-huh.
So knowing that and being able to share that with others will help them to know how to meet you and your needs. Being
Yeah,
able to say, for me, when I'm sharing my cooking or my talents with this and making these things and giving you these things, this is my way of showing you that I love you. Now, one of the things you can ask them is ask them what it is that they need to feel loved too, because everyone has their own way. Some people need words of encouragement. Your daughter Lorraine needs lots of encouragement. She needs that.
yeah,
She gives it away like it's candy.
yeah,
She will go and empower the whole world, but she feels utterly desperate on the inside for those words. Why, when she has so much of a surplus to give, doesn't make sense, but it is what it is for her. She is so desperate that she gives it away. So as her tank throughout the day, as she's giving out all of these things, she might have filled herself up the night before, but all day long she's giving it away and sprinkling it everywhere throughout her day. And by the end of the day, her love tank is so low, she doesn't feel that she's worthy anymore. And I don't know why
well,
that is for us who need encouragement, but that's the truth. I had to
yeah,
learn that it was my responsibility to fill that up for myself every day.
yeah, she
And that's what
definitely,
I'm trying to teach Lorraine right now is for her to fill that herself so that she doesn't have to look outside of her for that anymore. Learning how to empower ourselves is one of the best things we can do if we are an affirmation or neat words of encouragement type of person. And
yeah,
most of the world doesn't know how to encourage. We're
right.
generally
I,
dealing with too much BS in our life that we don't know how to encourage another
yeah.
because we don't even know
I
how to
just
encourage ourselves.
I just keep thinking since you know him a little bit, her relationship with Eddie, like
Yeah.
when she first met him, um, he was really in a like a bad place, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And she helped him so much. And these arguments and disagreements that they have really bother her because she feels like he doesn't appreciate what she's done for him.
And in all actuality, he probably does, but doesn't know how to articulate it to her because
Right,
he's still in a process.
right.
Hurt people. And
Yeah,
until they have processed their hurt, they're going to continue to spiral out and hurt others until they get through themselves. And that
yeah,
is really difficult sometimes in the process of dealing with others. When you you can't give with an expectation. A gift given needs to just be a gift given.
yeah,
And
yeah.
she's learning that and stepping back, which is really good. But it is a real loss for her because she does have a heart for him.
Yes, I
But
know.
it's not meeting in the middle right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do want to go back into this part here. How many times have you felt that no one is hearing you when you're speaking? You know you have
Well,
spoken clearly,
with Lorraine a lot
but the
because she
response
likes
has nothing to do with what you just said.
to, she's so complicated. I wonder, I've often said, where did she come from? She's not like my other two children. She's one unto herself. And you try to look
She is
back,
a visionary, hun.
you,
Those
you,
of us who are made so different generally are the challenging child in the family. The one
yeah,
that seems to do everything a complete, unique, all of their own way. And you
yeah,
sit there looking at them going, are you alien? What happened?
exactly.
I was the alien in my family. I was truly, now my family loves me. They all love
Of
me. But they
course,
will tell you I have done everything different than anyone else in my family.
anyone else. Right,
And
right.
it was
Yes,
just me cutting a new path for others.
yeah.
Some of us out here are here to cut pathways for the next generation. And we
Well,
generally do stand out and make a big fuss about everything, and generally are the ones that shake up every place that we go.
oh boy, is that her.
Everyone has
Oh,
their own lens of perception. So when we are in that place of feeling like we're saying something, but it's not being heard,
uh-huh.
generally it is because of this, and only because they can only process from where they are in life.
Yeah,
So each situation and circumstance as we go and get to, we realize that sometimes we're just talking to the wrong person. When I have a situation and I'm feeling the grief and I want to talk about the loss, I don't need to go to someone who's in their teen years who's never experienced a loss.
yeah,
I need to go to someone who's probably a few years older than me, who's had a couple experiences along the way, that's going to understand I'm actually quite broken right now. And they're actually going
right.
to be the shoulder for me to cry on and the arms to wrap around me when I need it the most.
Uh-huh.
But that young
Uh,
teenage kid is going to be looking at me like, this is foreign. What are you talking to me
right.
for? I don't have no
Yeah,
idea what you're talking to me about. It's literally learning where it's appropriate for us to share our story and where it's not. There's not that it's not acceptable to be talking about it. It's about being able to identify the appropriate space. My recent event in my loss with losing my relationship was absolutely freaking golden, beautiful for
uh-huh.
over a year.
Yeah,
How it ended is still beyond me. Why it ended up where it did, I still don't understand. And I may never understand.
right. And I certainly feel for you
But I can
because,
honestly say that I understand that there's a healthy place for me to talk about it.
uh-huh.
And I couldn't do some of my classes for a couple of weeks because I was so wounded by it. I
I
didn't
know
want to bleed
that.
out in my classroom. I was like,
Yes,
I didn't want to turn to the class going, okay, I know you're all here to help me for me to help you, but now it's time for you to help me. I
yeah,
needed to sit back and work through my own skills and my own tools and put me back together so that I was healthy enough so I'm not bleeding out. When I say that, I mean when hurt people are hurt, when you get hurt, you have a lot of pop offs. You say a lot of things that you don't really mean because you're in a process.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
have to pull yourself back and wait for a minute and go, okay, I'm tuned in. I'm okay. Now I can go back to this. So I know that taking the pause for everyone was probably tough because we all need this place to talk. but I had to be well enough again to start.
Right, right.
And I didn't want it to be a place where anybody else was being wounded by my wounds. So I had to patch myself back up first. It
It's
would be
amazing how quickly you jumped back into things. I thought you'd be off for a lot longer than you were.
a lot of people did, but I've had a lot of loss in my life, Carol, from family that I've lost to jobs that I've lost to I've been through several domestic violence situations and
Yeah,
had to lose everything that I owned and get back up. I lost a house due to a hurricane and had to be
my
relocated.
God.
I have almost lost my son because he jumped in front of an 18-wheeler. His girlfriend, back a year and a half before his episode, she did die by being hit from jumping in front of a vehicle. So I lost
Oh,
someone I considered my own daughter. My son and her were going to get married.
oh
Um,
God.
I had to walk with him through loss. So loss is something I've experienced a lot.
Certainly.
So it's like
Oh my
I could
God.
sit here and go back, like I lost my innocence when I was 3 because of a man who decided to hurt me and another little girl. There was
Yikes.
a lot of loss in my life.
Yeah,
So having so much experience, you get a faster bounce back.
right.
It just becomes oh, yeah, that sucked. Okay,
It,
let me do the
but it
process again. Let me try this again. Let me get back up
it
again.
it
We all
doesn't
get knocked
seem
down, but
it
how do
doesn't
you get
seem
back up?
fair though that one person has suffered so much, but you are sure resilient, I must say. You've had
God
the
had more
experience.
trust in me than I do in myself.
Yeah, there's got to be a higher being.
There has to be. That's all I have. I have
Yeah,
to lean on my higher source every single
yeah,
day, all the time. I don't do this in my own strength. I surrendered to my higher power.
yes,
I had
yes.
to a long time ago. And I had to
Wow.
learn that the key to it all was forgiveness. To forgive the pain, to forgive the offense, to let them go and understand that everything truly is out of love. To understand that ultimately the one thing that transcends it all is the power of love. It allows you to rise up out of anything. And it's literally like a phoenix. You can completely fall to the ruins and be in the
I was
ashes.
just thinking the same thing
And then
from the
have
ashes.
something that rekindles you and just pulls you back up and shoots up.
Right, right.
I just
Yes,
happen to have the spirit of the phoenix.
I think so.
And
Knock you down and you're going to get back up, no matter how many times it happens.
I really,
And
and it's so that I can be an example to many.
of, of the strong person that you are, physically, mentally, spiritually, every which way. Thank you so much for all that you've experienced and are able to impart on us. That is great. You are one of a kind.
Thank you, Carol.
Oh, you're so welcome. So welcome.
That truly
When I
speaks
think of when
volumes
I
to my soul right now.
pardon,
I said what you just said really spoke volumes to my soul.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
I'm glad. When I sat down and clicked on the link, I thought, oh my God, how long am I going to be able to be here? Because I am so tired. I didn't sleep well last night, and oh gosh, now I'm just like raring to go.
There you go. It's a transfer of energy.
Yes, yes.
So I'm going to end here on this part here. You don't want to go to someone who has no experience with loss. You always want to make sure that those you're speaking with are adequate in helping you so that you can actually receive what you really need. So always making sure that you're tuning in, joining groups so that you can always continue to share, because whatever we have lost in life is worth talking about.
Well, our experiences speak volumes, even for others. Even what we've gone through and suffered through and lost, there's meaning in all that. There's still something to be learned. We can still impart information to others, no matter what it is. Our experiences are for a reason.
They really are. And
Yeah,
they really are a tool to help others through and navigate what's going on in their life as well.
yeah.
So blessings, love, and light, Miss Carol. I know that I have others who are waiting for me to get done with class because I got to go find out what the agenda is for the day where I'm at. So I think
Well,
we're
good luck.
having a girls' day. I'm not sure.
Okay, and we'll see you next time,
All
whenever
righty,
that
hon.
is.
And blessings, love, and light. Bye for now.
Bye.